My goal this year is to become a better dev, and I will achieve this by reading some tech articles and just learning more. So if you like this sort of content, like, subscribe, maybe leave a comment if you have some resources you would like me to read. Okay, enjoy the article. Bye! First article, it's 5 mistakes I made when starting my first React project. It's from Adam Rakis. You know what it's like to pick up a new language or framework. Sometimes there's great documentation to help you find your way through it, but even the best documentation doesn't cover absolutely everything. That's correct. And when you work with something that's new, you're bound to find a problem that doesn't have a written solution. That's how it was for me the first time I created the React project. And React is one of those frameworks with remarkable documentation, especially now with the beta docs. Yeah, honestly, the beta docs are absolutely amazing. But I still struggled my way through. It's been quite a while since that project, but the lessons I gained from it are still fresh in my mind. And even though there are a lot of React how-to tutorials out there, I thought I'd share what I wish I knew when I first used it. So that's what this article is, a list of the early mistakes I made. I hope they help you make learning React a lot smoother for you. Alright, let's start off with the first one. Using Create React App to start a project. Yeah, so Create React App is deprecated now with Parcel. If you want to use a framework for React, then use Next or Remix. So there are a lot of better things out there. Okay, so a short intro to Create React App is a tool that helps you set up a new React project. It creates a development environment with the best configuration options for most React projects. Yeah, so even my first Create React project, when I configured it like that, it was awesome. So I could just start coding. But unfortunately, you need to understand what it is happening under the hood, because that makes a whole lot of deal. Okay, so Create React App uses two popular packages to achieve this, Webpack and Babel. Webpack is a web bundler that optimizes all of the assets in your project, such as JavaScript, CSS, and images. Babel is a tool that allows you to use newer JavaScript features, even if some browsers don't support them. Both are good, but there are newer tools that can do the job better, specifically Vite and SWC, Speedy Web Compiler. I didn't really know what SWC meant until now, so that's a win. These new and improved alternatives are faster and easier to configure than Webpack and Babel. This makes it easier to adjust the configuration, which is difficult to do in Create React App without ejecting. So ejecting in Create React App means all of the stuff that's under the hood, it's now over the hood. And if you don't know what you're doing, you can mess it up so bad that the React project is not gonna work anymore. To use them both when setting up a new React project, you have to make sure you have Node version 12 or higher installed, and then run the following command, npm create vite. You'll be asked to pick a name for your project. You do that and select React from the list of frameworks. After that, you can select either JavaScript with SWC or TypeScript with SWC. Then you'll have to change the directory and run the dev command as normal. And that's pretty much a new React app in 2024 now. Using default props for default values. Oh man, that's way back. Okay, using default props for default values. Too long did I read? Use default function parameters instead. Yeah, I can agree with this one. Data can be passed to React components through something called props. They are added to a component just like attributes in an HTML element, and can be used in a component definition by taking the relevant values from the prop object passed in as an argument. Alright, here is a little thing. So props, here we pass the title and description, and then here we would get displayed a hello world from props.title and props.description. If a default value is ever required for a prop, the default prop property can be used. So this was back in the day. With modern JavaScript, it is possible to destructure props object and assign a default value to it in the function argument. So doing it like this, and then with the structure, and we get default props. This is more favorable as the code that can be read by modern browsers without the need for extra transformation. Unfortunately, default props do require some transformation to be read by the browser, since JSX isn't supported out of the box. This could potentially affect the performance of an application that is using a lot of default props. Don't use prop types, use TypeScript. Yeah, 100% agree. So even though TypeScript is a pain to work with, and it is, don't get me wrong, it's still better than prop types. So prop types is basically just reinventing TypeScript, but with less control over it. So what's the point now that we have TypeScript? So in React, the prop types property can be used to check if a component is being passed the correct data type for its props. They allow you to specify the type of data that should be used for each prop, such as a string, number, object, blah blah. They also allow you to specify if a prop is required or not. This way, if a component is passed the wrong data type, or if a required prop is not being provided, then React will throw an error. So we import prop types from prop types, and then string required and string. Yeah, so again, more transformation and stuff. TypeScript provides a level of type safety in data that's being passed to components. So sure, prop types were a good idea back when I was starting. However, now that TypeScript has become the go-to solution for type safety, I would highly recommend using it over anything else. So let's do interface, card props, title, description. So title is a must-have prop, and description is an optional prop. They both are strings, and then props as card props. TypeScript is a programming language that builds on top of JavaScript by adding static type checking. TypeScript provides a more powerful type system that can catch more potential bugs and improves the developer experience. Using class components. Write components as functions. Okay, yeah. Class components in React are created using JavaScript classes. They have a more object-oriented structure, and as well as a few additional features like the ability to use the this keyword and lifecycle methods. To be honest, I miss the lifecycle methods, even though you can basically simulate all of them with useEffect and all this shebang. I think the lifecycle methods should have still existed, like use initial mount or something, like make them as hooks. But yeah, I miss lifecycle methods. I don't miss binding this, so yeah. I prefer writing components with classes over functions, but JavaScript classes are more difficult for beginners to understand, and this can get very confusing. Instead, I recommend writing components as functions. Okay. Yeah, so basically in the class component you had to wrap it in a render, and then in the render you got all the stuff, and before that you would have the functions and all the shebang. Okay, and function components are simply JavaScript functions that return JSX. They are much easier to read and do not have additional features like the this keyword and lifecycle methods, which make them more performant than class components. Okay. Function components also have the advantage of using hooks. React hooks allow you to use state and other React features without writing a class component, making your code more readable, maintainable, and reusable. Okay, yeah, hooks are cool. I'm not gonna lie. When I first started learning React, not that long ago, it was right in the transition time between hooks and classes. So I started learning about classes, and then I switched over to hooks. Importing React unnecessarily. Too long didn't read, there's no need to do it unless you need hooks. Okay, since React 17 was released in 2020, it's now unnecessary to import React at the top of your file whenever you create a component. But we had to do that before React 17 because the JSX transformer, the thing that converts JSX into regular JavaScript, used a method called react.createElement that would only work when importing React. Since then, a new transformer has been released which can transform JSX without the createElement method. You still need to import React to use hooks, fragments, and any other functions or components you might need from that library, from the library. Okay. So import useState from React, and then we can basically use the useState. Those were my early mistakes. Maybe mistake is too harsh a word, since some of the better practices came about later. Still, I see plenty of instances where the old way of doing something is still being actively used in projects and other tutorials. To be honest, I probably made way more than 5 mistakes when getting started. Anytime you reach for a new tool, it is going to be more like a learning journey to use it effectively, rather than flipping a switch. But these are the things I still carry with me years later. If you've been using React for a while, what are some of the things you wish you knew before you get started? Yeah, so I think anyway he was a more experienced person than me, because my mistakes were a bit worse. When I started learning React, I was working on WordPress, so I was doing Gutenberg plugins, and they use React, but somehow they override the entire React library. So you still get the useState, useEffect, and use all this stuff, but you actually import it from a WordPress package, and they don't pass props to components. They pass attributes, but you can pass props from child components, but the root component is going to have attributes which are gonna be used in basically the admin area and all this stuff. So it was when I started working in pure React, it was such a mental journey for me, because I was used with WordPress React, which is not really React, but yeah, it was still nice. So if you got this far, like and subscribe, and see you in the next episode.